The thing that convinced me that Jesus is not God is that Jesus died on the cross. Now, although this may seem really simple, let me explain why this is so convincing. So it's a simple logical argument. The first premise is that God cannot die. We see this in 1 Timothy 6:16, where it says God alone has immortality. The second premise is that Jesus died. We see that all throughout the New Testament in 1 Corinthians 15:3, in Romans 5:8, all throughout we see that Jesus died on the cross. So the conclusion is that Jesus is not God. You have two premises. God cannot die. Jesus died. Therefore, Jesus is not God. Now, let's talk about some common Trinitarian explanations of this problem. The first one is to say that just Jesus' human nature died. Say, well, no, he has a God nature and a human nature, but just his human nature died. Let's talk about why that doesn't really work. First, it goes against the Council of Chalcedon. So the Council of Chalcedon is this council that was held in 451. It's an Orthodox council. It's one of the 7 ecumenical councils. In this council, they concluded that Jesus is acknowledged in 2 natures, unconfusedly, unchangeably, indivisibly, inseparably. Not as though he were parted or divided into 2 persons, but one in the selfsame and only begotten God, Word, Lord, Jesus Christ. So, in this definition, they say that you cannot split apart the natures of Christ. They're inseparable. But that's exactly what these Trinitarians do, and that's what I used to do with the death of Christ on the cross. I would just simply split apart his natures and say, well, yeah, it's just his human nature that died. So, if you're comfortable going against this Orthodox Trinitarian council, you're welcome to do that. But you're going against an Orthodox Trinitarian council. The second reason why this doesn't really work is that to say that just the human nature of Jesus died is to actually deny that the Trinitarian Jesus died. Now, this may be a little complex, but let me explain. In Mark 1:9, we read, "And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan." So this is just a normal, common New Testament passage that talks about Jesus, right? I'm using this to explain who is Jesus. So a Trinitarian would read this and understand this to be their understanding of Jesus, that he has 2 natures. He's fully God and fully man. So he's a 2-natured Jesus. That's who they're understanding Jesus to be. However, when we get to the death of Christ on the cross, he's the 1-natured Jesus. So only one nature of Jesus dies on the cross. Do you see the problem? That's just a different Jesus.